Jacob Burton here from StellaCulinary.com, and in today's video, we'll be going over how to make a savory caramelized onion scone, which goes awesome with coffee. Now, Lupe here is going to show you how we do this technique. You're going to start with 2 cups of all-purpose flour, about a quarter teaspoon of baking soda, quarter teaspoon of salt, 2 teaspoons of baking powder, about a cup of caramelized onions, half a cup of whole milk, half a cup of sour cream, quarter cup of granulated sugar, and then about a cup of whole butter that has been frozen and then grated on a cheese grater. You know, it's like the normal box cheese graters. Now you're going to mix all of your dry ingredients together, mix them by hand just to combine thoroughly. And then you're going to add in your butter. And it's important that your butter is cold at this point and stays cold, because what's going to happen is when you go to later bake the scones, if your butter has already melted or is too soft, you're not going to get a nice flaky crust. So this is one of the tricks to getting a flaky, tender scone, which is what you're really after. And once you've had the butter all incorporated into the flour, just kind of rub it in with your fingertips a little bit. And then you're going to go through and add in your caramelized onions. And again, you want to mix gently. You don't ever want to overmix your scone dough. And then once you've incorporated the onions, go back and add your wet ingredients, which is the whole milk and the sour cream. Now, one of the biggest mistakes that people make when they make scones or just any style of flaky pastry is they overmix it. They'll knead it too much, and what happens is you develop a gluten structure, which makes it taste more like bread or have a texture of bread. So here you can see we're mixing this in real time, and this is going to mix for 30 seconds by hand or just long enough to where it comes into a nice loose dough. You want to mix it at the bare minimum that it takes to form a dough, and that's what's going to give you a nice, tender, flaky scone. Now, once you have the dough mixed together, you're going to just dust a work surface with a decent amount of all-purpose flour, and then it's time to form the scones. Now, you can form this in any shape that you want, really, but here we're just going to keep it simple, roll it out into a rough-looking rectangle, and you're looking for about a finished thickness of 1/2 inch to 1 inch, depending upon how thick you want your actual scones to be. I prefer about 1/2 inch to 3/4 inch personally. Now, once you have a rough rectangle, you can go back and square up the edges if you're worried about the looks. If not, you can keep them a little more rustic. It's not a big deal. And these scrap pieces, you don't throw those out. You can just take those, form them back together, and create another scone. Now here we're going to cut straight down the center of that large rectangle, making 2 more narrow ones, and then just cut into triangles by alternating cross cuts with an angled cut. And now once we have our triangular scones, which is the classic shape for scones, we're going to lay this on a sheet tray that's lined with parchment paper and bake in a 350 Fahrenheit oven. And here we're using a convection oven. A regular home oven will work fine. So a convection oven about 350 for 15 to 20 minutes or until a golden brown color, just like that. Now you want to let them cool for anywhere from 5 to 10 to 15 minutes, and then place them on a plate. Now, when you break them open, you can see here we have a really nice textured crumb on the inside, pretty flaky and fairly tender, and this is going to go great with your morning cup of joe. Now, this episode's show notes can be found at StellaCulinary.com/SB7.